The ObjectShaker component was introduced in version 2.1. This component allows you to shake individual objects. It can be a camera, a canvas, a rigid body, or even a transform. Essentially, it works the same way as the camera shaker using your standard shakeable scripts, except you use it for an individual object. Whereas the camera shaker, if you were to send a shake to your camera shaker, it would of course shake the camera, and it would then send events to anything listening to the shaker type of camera shaker. The ObjectShaker, however, requires you to set the shaker type on your shakables to ObjectShaker, and it will find the first ObjectShaker component on that object or in its parent. Here I have an ObjectShaker directly on the game object. It has the same limit magnitude option as the camera shaker, which will limit the positional and rotational magnitude of your shake, and it has this option remove from manager on disable. This typically is not needed unless you perhaps have a lot of object shakers in your scene. For example, if you have maybe 100+ object shakers in your scene, this is where this might save you some performance. Next, you have shake on enable. This is a shake data to run whenever this component is enabled. You can see I already have something in there. Just like my other shakeable scripts, I have a position and rotation multiplier default to 1. I have the require in view. I have include children, ignore self, include an active, localize shake, and randomize direction. If you want to know more about what this component does, then check out the shakeable rigid body and shakeable transform video. In this example, I want to make sure that the shaker type is set to ObjectShaker. Next, since this is a single object that I will be shaking, I don't want to include children. Therefore, I have no reason to have these other options ticked as well, as mentioned in the previous videos. I do want to randomize the direction whenever the shake starts though. Let me go ahead and fire this up and show you what it looks like. You're probably wondering how this differs from the camera shaker. For one, this shake is running on its own as soon as this is enabled because I have a script here in the shake on enable field. Secondly, there is no default object shaker. You can get a reference of all object shakers using the ObjectShaker handler. However, if you want to call a shake on a specific object shaker, you must have a reference to it. And you do that the same way as you would with a reference to a camera shaker. You just do reference.shake, passing in your shake data. Object shakers can also shake multiple objects beneath them. So if I disable my single object and then go to multiple objects, you can see I do have the shaker type still set to ObjectShaker, and I have an ObjectShaker script on this game object. It also has a shake on enable preset selected. One thing to notice though is I have include children and ignore self ticked. This is because this has multiple objects beneath it which I want to shake. However, this is a container object and I don't want to actually shake this object itself, and that's why I have ignore self ticked. Now if I were to enable this game object, you'll see that my sprites here are shaking randomly. And if I re-enable it, you'll notice that the direction is randomized each time. So the ObjectShaker is running the shake on enable, and since I have randomized directions and include children, it's also shaking the children in random directions as well. This is useful if you have ambient objects in your scene which you want to always be moving around, such as maybe a light source. You can also use it to show an interaction with an object. Perhaps if you click an object, you might want to have an object shaker on there run a very small shake to show that that object was interacted with. And keep in mind that this can apply to any shakeable type. Again, canvases, rigid bodies, and transforms currently.